And tonight she's speaking on the theme of staying sane at home with kids. So over to you, Deborah.
Thank you so much. And a special thank you to you, Jacob, for hosting through Banyan Books. Really appreciate it. I had no idea you were 50 years old. Congratulations. Happy
Not
birthday.
me.
Not you. Well, no, not you. You still got some time, right? But that's quite the accomplishment, especially for an independent bookstore. It's brilliant. And if anyone's been in Banyan Books, you know why. It's one of my favorite bookstores in terms of the ambiance and the feeling that you get when you're there. So I'm delighted to be here. I'm sorry we couldn't do this in person, but the reality is we probably wouldn't be able to do this in person, given the distance that all of you are traveling from virtually here. The purpose tonight was really to address, when Jacob approached me about doing this, I thought, why don't we talk a little bit about the emotional aspects that come with survival right now. We talk a lot about the physical aspects of COVID. We've talked financial, economic issues, but what about the emotional piece? How are we going to get through this and stay sane, stay emotionally well, and bounce back, as it were? How is it that we become resourceful and resilient, and how is it that we take our children through this experience as parents? That was a lot of what parents were certainly asking me about. Well, what do I do as a parent? How do I guide my children through this? I've never been through a pandemic. My parents were never through this. What is it that we are to do? And so I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about the three principles that I think will carry us best of all through this pandemic. Three developmental principles based on the work of Gordon Neufeld, based on attachment science, neuroscience, developmental psychology, a synthesis of all of the things that we know lead to well-being, emotional health, and maturity, resiliency, all of the things that we wish for our children so that we can preserve and protect their capacity to grow and to realize their full human potential. I'm going to just pause for a second here and just share my screen with you and my slides, and we'll get into these principles. So the question is what is essential right now? What is essential for survival? What is it that we need to be paying attention to as parents? If we were to spend the energy that we have, what is critical now that our children are likely at home with us more than they have been before? If you're an essential worker, your children are likely still using a daycare or some sort of arrangement. This doesn't mean that this first piece is not important to you. In fact, it actually is critical for you as well. And that is a relationship. When I'm talking about relationship, I'm talking about attachment. I'm talking about the science of togetherness. We talk a lot about, well, we are all in this together. There's a difference between lip service that we pay to this idea of together and the science of togetherness. What does it actually mean to be together? The nature of togetherness needs to be examined. And so I'm going to examine that in the context of healthy child-parent relationships, healthy any adult in a child's life. What would a healthy relationship look like? And why is this so essential? Why is this so critical, especially now, more than ever? Why do we need our relationships to be healthy with our children? And that should become quite clear as we go through this. So the first purpose of attachment and relationship is to actually foster dependency of a child on the adults who are responsible for them. It's very hard to take care of a child who does not follow you. You will know this with your children at home. How do you get them to listen? How do you get them to pay attention? How do you get them to move in the direction you want? From brushing their teeth to getting homework done, to chores, to dishes, whatever it might be that you need your child's cooperation on. Attachment is the vehicle through which this happens. There's many different ways to try to get a child to do what you want, but the one that bears the most fruit, the one that actually leads to the healthiest development, is actually your relationship. So we want children to depend upon their adults. This is not going to lead to problems with independence. In fact, this is actually nature's answer to growing a child. The deeper the roots, the better the potential. Everything grows when it's rooted. Attachment is the way that we root our children to a home, to a secure base. It's what allows our children to be at rest psychologically and allows them to grow. It is also the place of safety. When children feel connected to an adult, when they look to that adult to be their answer, when they are depending upon that adult to get their bearings, to inform and to guide them, what you actually see is this creates a beautiful relationship, a beautiful bubble around the two, the pair. And it allows that child to feel safe within that. It's not that a child is essentially safe in the world. We can't say to our children, there's nothing that's ever going to happen to you that will be bad. That's a falsehood. That's not true safety. It's not true for any of us. So how is it that we help our children feel secure and feel safe in the world? Well, by creating these attachment relationships where the child looks to the adult to be the answer, to guide, and to protect. When they look to us to protect, they leave it in our hands. And this is what's important. We need our children to rest in our care so they leave questions of safety and security in our hands. This is true if you are an essential worker, as it is true if you are at home, especially if you're an essential worker and they perceive some sort of alarm in you going out of the house each day. Relationship is what helps your children feel at home and to feel safe with you. What does a healthy relationship look like? There's this complementary set of instincts and emotions that go along with this. Here you see the provider, this beautiful stance that we have as providers. You might have remembered this ignition inside of you of this provider when you were first met your child, your firstborn, and realized you were the one who's going to be responsible for taking care of them, that it fell to you. Whatever happened, it was you that had to pay attention. It was you that had to protect and inform and defend and guide this child, that this was for real. And there's a sense of deep caring that might have ignited inside of you that would have led to you being able to sacrifice yourself, sacrifice your own goals and your own sleep, your own resources in order to take care of and to provide for this child. These are instincts and emotions. I want to assure you that you didn't have to have a parent who did this well for you in order to be this parent for your children. It's one of the big misnomers that we have today, is that you had to have a parent like this in order to be this parent. That doesn't understand that perspective doesn't understand that parenting isn't something that you learn, and that just because you have some emotions that were stirred up as a child, that prevents you from showing up for your child. That's not true. We have deep caring instincts. We have deep instincts to take responsibility. When we lean into these, when we let these shape us so that we become who our children need, then this is the road to parenting. This is the road to a healthy relationship. Our children need us more than ever in a sense of security that they perceive outside. They need the provision of our care. They need to be able to lean on us. When our children see us take this beautiful provider position, what happens is they should naturally seek us out. They should want to turn to us to serve and obey in a very natural way, not out of fear, but because we are their best bet, because we are their answer, because we are the one to protect and defend them. They should seek our assistance, to look up to us, to belong, to follow, to wait for orders. Of course, the more independent, the older the child, the more increasingly independent they become. This is not because we're teaching them to be independent, but because the self is growing and that they're able to do more and more things, make more decisions, and able to, take the lead in their life a little bit more. I'm talking about our teenagers who are meant to start charting the course for themselves and meant to take the steering wheel in their hands. Doesn't mean they can have all the responsibility, but it does mean they are increasingly responsible for taking charge of the direction of their life. But when they're young, they are hungry for connection. They are hungry to be taken care of. They should wait for our orders. They should look for our guidance. This is the bubble of relationship. This is where we do our caretaking. It's a psychological womb outside of the physical one that gave birth to them. And so this is what we are most responsible for. When our children are looking at us, the world recedes from view and seems less alarming. Not that they can't be stirred up, not that they won't be alarmed, but they'll look to you to be the answer to the alarm. Some parents have been telling me their children seem to be a little bit more clingy these days. Well, yes, that's what happens when we get alarmed. We tend to cling a little bit more to the people who are supposed to be the answer to this, to keeping us safe. And so we might find our children might be more difficult to get to bed. Maybe not. Maybe just wanting us near. Maybe they weren't used to having us around as much, and now we are here. It's like, oh, I get, you see all this wonderful pursuit for you because you are more around. This is not a mistake. This is nature's way. They're supposed to need us. And under the age of 6, it's a very, very needy time. Again, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your child. It just means that you're meant to be the caretaker. An adult is meant to take the lead with a child. So this is what a healthy relationship should look like. Relationship, how do we do this? How do we do relationship? The secret here is that, relationships are actually harder to look at close up. They're harder to do just face to face in terms of the vulnerability that it creates. Relationships are difficult. We hurt each other. There's times that we don't matter, that we don't have time for each other. There's all sorts of landmines in terms of relationship. Getting close sets us up to get hurt. So how do we do relationship then? Well, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to be close. It's never something forced or contrived. It's nothing something that you have to, the more you have to work at relationship, the less innate and natural it will feel. But there's beautiful ways that we build relationship with each other, and it's no different for our children. That sense of warmth, delight, and enjoyment, and the research shows that that expression of warmth and delight and enjoyment wants us to be near someone. We interpret that as an invitation to come close. When you share a hobby, when you play with your children, these things naturally build relationship. When you eat together, when you care for them in unexpected ways, right? One of the things I've loved about having my children home is this ability to go and care for them in unexpected ways. What do I mean? I bring them a cup of peppermint tea. It's really as simple as that. To check in with them at times when I wouldn't normally check in with them because they are home. Bedtime. Oh, those bedtime chats. Such an important ritual to set a date with our children's feelings, to catch up with their day. Bedtime is often representative of that time for many people. It doesn't have to be bedtime. It could be checking in the morning, but a time to set a date with our children's feelings where we can get close, when we can listen with our full attention and to try to convey to them that they are significant to us and to remember what is important to them and to convey this desire for contact and closeness. This is the super glue. These are the behaviors that come with a desire to be close, the super glue that holds us together, that our children always feel like there's a sense of home. It's what provides a sense of safety. That's what provides a sense of security, is that there's someone there working to build a relationship. I want to highlight here the difference between love and feeling taken care of. There's a significant difference. In all my years as a counselor, I have seen this over and over again with my clients who actually taught me the significant difference here. And that is, many people will say, I felt loved by that person, but that does not mean that they felt taken care of by that person. To feel taken care of is that sense of generosity, that someone desired a relationship with you and took the lead on it. And this is what's really important, is that we cannot confuse the responsibility for relationship as lying with our children. This is our responsibility. When we ask them questions, do you like that? What do you want? How do I take care of you? You unintentionally put them in the lead of the relationship, and that's not what they need, especially now more than ever. We need to take the lead. Mommy, do I have to go to school? I'll make that decision. I'll let you know. Well, I don't want to go to school. Yes, I understand you're afraid. I'll make the decision that I know is in your best interest. I'll take care of you. Mommy doesn't send you anywhere that I don't think you'll be taken care of, right? It doesn't mean that you can't promise them that you won't be scared. You can't promise them that they're going to be okay. What you can say is, I will take care of you. And that is till they lower you in the grave. That should be the reality. And the interesting thing and the wonderful thing about relationship is that actually relationships are beyond the grave. They are forever. Forever. You can call up a relationship and have a conversation with someone in your consciousness, in your representation of that relationship. We all carry an attachment conscious that reminds us, and how we can have a relationship with someone who is representative of that contact and closeness in our psyche. And so this is a beautiful thing that attachment offers us. We always have a home. We always have a home in the middle of so much separation. We always have a home. So what is our work as parents? Our work as parents is to build relationship, to take the lead in a relationship, to convey an invitation, a desire to be close to our children. Now, you will know that there are many times that this can be difficult. There can be infractions, there can be discipline issues, there can be conflict between siblings, there can be all sorts of, disagreements, there can be resistance, opposition. The question then becomes is how do we preserve our relationship in light of these things? How do we take the lead in these situations to lead through the challenge, but also to bring our children along with us and not to divide and create problems where we become an adversary. So relationship is the goal. When we are able to do our work on relationship, what happens is our children are free to rest, they're free to play, they're free to grow, the title of my book, which is basically the developmental roadmap. If our children are at rest, they will play and they will grow. They don't have to work at growing themselves up to become adaptive, to become separate or social beings. This is what nature does. If we do our job, we provide the conditions for good growth, our children will get there. And now remember, this does not mean perfection. This doesn't mean that everything goes as planned. We are meant to survive. We are meant to be incredibly resilient. We are able to do hard things. However, what is not negotiable is this relational piece that we take our children along with us. And so how do we do relationship? What is underneath the rest, if, that gives rise to play and grow? What is it that we must work at? And this is about attachment. We have to work at attachment through 6 different ways. And this unfolds, hopefully, ideally, in the first 6 years of life, that our children will attach to us, first of all, through the senses, through touch, taste, smell, seeing, hearing, tactile, auditory. It's all these different senses that come into fruition one at a time. Your sense of smell is the most strongest at birth. Babies and their mothers can find each other very quickly within an hour, even without being blinded to the child or to the mother. The baby can actually find the mother through the milk, and the mother can find the baby through the diaper. This is formidable. We are wired to be together this way. We are wired to find each other, and senses are the most provocative. However, if this was the only way that we attached, what would happen is that our children would never leave us because they'd have to physically be with us. So nature gave us another way to connect. And by the age of 2, ideally, a child should connect through sameness. They talk like you, they walk like you, they want to be the same as you. They imitate you, they learn your language or languages, and they adopt the mannerisms of the people that they're attached to. That's good. We want that to happen. This gives them the very rudimentary basis of their identity that's just starting to emerge. By the time a child is 3, we hope to see that they attach through belonging and loyalty. What does that mean? It basically means that they want to possess anything or anyone that they are attached to. And so they get incredibly territorial. If you have 3-year-olds, you will know what I'm talking about. This is my toy, my sister, my mommy, my daddy. The idea of sharing is way overrated for the 3-year-old. If they like it, it's theirs. If they're just contemplating it, it's theirs. And this is because attachment is through possession. And attachment, the reason why this is so important for the 3-year-old is that at age 3, they're just starting to get this incredible autonomy. I do it myself. And yet they want to make sure that the more that they do it themselves, the more that they stretch themselves out there, and you see these little bursts of independence, that they have a home to go back to. And that's why you see this incredible possessiveness. And they can be very loyal to, can I count on you to follow along? Can I count on you to do this? Yes, okay, mommy. Yes, okay, daddy. You can see if people, come into your house or whatever it might be, that they'll be very quick to tell them the rules. Why? Because that is a way of holding on to the people that they are closest to, is by following their rules. This is very good for us, of course, as parents. So that's by age 3, we hope to see that. But attachment has a deeper way to go in even more. And that is we seek to be significant to people. If we feel we belong and there's a sense of sameness and there's enough sensory contact, the conditions are conducive for this to go deeper. We see that this child will want to be significant to us. Do I matter is their question. Do I belong? Do you think of me? And they love when you tell them stories. If you wanted to fill your child up, say you say you're an essential worker and you come home and there's a sense of longing to be close to your child. Your child is 4 or older. Giving them a sense of significance might be very easy. I was thinking of you when I was at work today. I couldn't wait to come home so we could, have our spaghetti dinner together, or that we could play that puzzle together, whatever it is that you're going to do. I was thinking of you today. That sense of being held in mind. Ugh, it's like oxygen for a child, because we are preoccupied with the things that matter to us. And if our children aren't part of that preoccupation, then they think, sometimes children can think there's something wrong with me, that I don't matter, or that I don't matter to my parent. And so significance is incredible. It's also important not to praise at this age in particular, uh, and going forward. And the reason is that for the first time, a child is able to work for love. We don't want them to work for love. We want them to rest in it. The more they have to be good enough, kind enough, big enough, smart enough, whatever it might be, the more they have to work for love, because praise is basically worth nuggets. I like when you are this version of yourself. Well, what if you're not that version of yourself? What if you're grumpy? What if you don't feel like doing something? Uh, is there room for that as well? I hope so, because that's the invitation for unconditional relationship, is when there's room for all of the child to be there. The challenge with significance is that a child sees very clearly what matters to you. And if they only matter when they do what matters to you, then you're going to have a problem here in terms of long term, in terms of how a child sees themselves. This is a deeper sense of identity that must be based on who you are matters, not what you do. And so significance is a deeper stage of a more vulnerable way of relating, but nothing like what opens up in the 5-year-old. Hopefully by the time that 5 hits, you will see this child will give their heart away. I love you, mommy. I love you, daddy. We're going to get married, if marriage is their representation of love. There's all sorts of ways that they communicate that I am yours forever. I'm never going to leave home. I'm going to stay here with you. There can be incredible missing. Please remember that a child missing their parent is not a mistake. It's actually nature's answer. You can't have missing unless you have attachment. I remember very clearly going over to Gordon Neufeld's house when I was doing my postdoc with him. And I remember sitting there going, Gord, and saying to him, I just left my 5-year-old crying her eyes out, screaming, Mommy, come back. And it broke my heart. What am I doing? What am I doing coming here when my daughter's so upset? And I remember him just looking at me and saying, it's okay for a child to miss you. That's what attachment is. There's a time when separation does go too far or too over the top for a child, but we can't get away. We can't get away from this. Children, when they give their heart, there's going to be missing. If you have a deep way of holding on through significance, belonging, loyalty, sense of sameness, then that child is able to wait for you. That child can hold on. There's a lot of sophistication here as a relational being when the roots of relationship have gone deep. There is one final way, which is delightful and very important and requires a lot of vulnerability and also a lot of trust, and that is to be known. We all seek to be known to the people that we care most about or that care most about us. And that is the capacity to share our secrets without feeling that the relationship could be in jeopardy. Anytime you reveal something that is close to your heart, there's always that sense of, will this person want to be close to me? Will I be okay? And that sense of shame that can come. So what we want to convey to our children is there's nothing you can say or do that would separate me from you. We might not always agree on behavior. We might not always agree with their thoughts or their intentions. What we can agree is that there's always a desire to be close. And that is the relationship that our children need. And that's true now more than ever. Because these are the roots of relationship that hold us in place. These are the roots that give us security, that give us safety, that give us a sense of place. And in a time when so many things change, it is place, it is orienting into the solid things in your life that you seek. And so these are the things that we can work at, our relationships. How do we do that? We need to make sure that the conditions are conducive here. There's 3 in particular: a good enough invitation. You have to be generous enough. You have to get there first, safe enough from disruption. That doesn't mean you don't go to work. It means that the child doesn't feel like there's a sense of you could be close sometimes and not other times, that there's a consistency here and a predictability. And it's also important that your child has a soft enough heart. What I mean by that is we need signs of caring. We need to see that your child is moved in all the right ways emotionally, that they have their tears, that they have their caring, and that their emotional system is capable of connecting to other people. That isn't something you learn. That's just a result of being cared for, is that your caring and your capacity to care for others opens up. So relationship is critical. Relationship is one of the key things that we need to be working on with our children, because it is the answer to a sense of unsafety in this world. It is the answer to leading them back to school. It is the answer to leading them out into the world. It is what underlies their capacity to pay attention and to focus and to potentially learn in a school environment. If it's not with us that they are being taken care of, then we need to make sure that they feel safe and that they are connected to their teachers, to whoever it is that's taking care of them, their child care providers. That your job is not just to keep a child safe physically, but to keep your child in relationship to you so that they feel they're anchored to an adult, which overall provides the sense of security in the world. So whenever we leave our children with people, the question we should be thinking about is relationship. If we have some absence from our child, relationship. There are so many children and families who, for going to school was representative of a divide from home, and separation anxiety was based on having to leave home and going to school, meaning that they were missing their caretakers. That separation has gone, that separation anxiety has gone. But what happens when we lead them back into school? How do we assure? How do we help address the fact that they will be feeling separate from us? Well, do they feel attached to their teacher? Do we work on a deeper relationship with our children? These things will help them with the separations that will be part of life. The key thing here that I just, that I'm dancing around the same issue, which is it's your relationship that helps a person feel safe in this world. It's your relationship that provides the anchor for a child. Work at relationship. This is safety. This is security. This is everything to a child. The roots of attachment will unfold naturally. You don't even have to know how relationship unfolds. You don't even have to know the science of relationship for this to happen. Parents have very deep relationships with never knowing the science of relationship. See, relationship is meant to be innate. It's about emotion and it's about instinct. It's about desiring to be the answer and yearning to be the answer to your children. If you showed up here tonight, you already have that. Why would you spend your evening coming to a webinar if you already didn't desire to be your child's answer? So be thoughtful in terms of don't turn relationship into a cognitive process only. Make sure that you focus on the piece here that's most important, which is the emotional connection with your child. If your child has given you their heart, if your child comes to you and asks you, for questions and to make sense of the world, and mommy, daddy, what is COVID about? Help me understand it. Remember, it's not the information that's going to make them feel safe, right? It's actually you. It's you saying, I know the way through. This is what we need to do, right? Does Bonnie Henry have all the answers? The answer is no. She doesn't have all the answers, but she is the answer. She's the answer to saying, we'll take care of you. This is what we're doing. We've got a plan. That's what makes us feel safe. That's why she's so loved. Not because she has all the answers to what we're going to do, but because she sees herself as the answer to leading through a difficult time. And that is the whole point. Don't turn it into a cognitive exercise. It's not about giving your children information. It's about giving your children the invitation to be close so that they feel safe. The next point here that I wanted to move to is emotional health and well-being. And this, I know we are concerned about. We're concerned about our own, but more so for our children. So what are the secrets here that you need to know? I know there's a way through this, and I know that there's a way to bounce back. We are incredibly resilient, but we do need to have a little bit of insight on this one in order to focus on some things that I don't think are as, while they seem kind of common sense on the surface, the science helps us dig into this a little bit more and make room for it. The challenge is that the pandemic represents incredible separation to us. We know that attachment and relationship is our most important need. So therefore, separation is going to be the most provocative. Uh, Separation and attachment are the same coin, just different sides. You can't miss if you're not attached. And so missing is our biggest challenge. So what is happening in the pandemic? Well, we can't have togetherness like we once used to. Children are missing routines, they're missing structure, they're missing the people that they used to see, caretakers, friends, whatever it might be, grandma, grandpa, their favorite park. They attach to things as well. We have constant reminders of our own mortality in our face. I hope you shield your child from that. It's not something that they need to dwell in. Even teenagers, we don't even look at this really head on. We can have conversations. But again, the focus needs to be on we're taking care of everything. The adults will try to take care of it. We'll find our way through. This is what we need to do. We see that we have our rituals, of course, just not being able to grieve in the same way, celebrate birthdays the same way, graduations the same way. A lot of people are missing a lot of things that were incredibly important to them. Just every reminder in my calendar that comes up that I'm supposed to be somewhere is another, a sense of sadness of how much things have changed. We can feel a sense of disorientation due to the loss of familiarity. How many of you have had a hard time, finding yourself in a week? Well, what day is this? And what am I supposed to be doing right now? How many of you have missed meetings or just feeling a sense of being out of sorts? Why? Because the familiarity has been lost. Things are changing so rapidly. On Friday, I was giving a presentation to educators, and in the middle of the presentation at lunchtime, they said, okay, Deborah, we've now got the message, we're going back to school, so help our teachers get the kids ready back for school. Everything changes very quickly. That I have become used to, that things will change. Don't get too attached to that. That may actually change. It can disabuse us. This pandemic has disabused us of our illusions of safety, of certainty, and predictability. I look back now and say, hey, we were just merrily rolling along, never gave a thought to something like this that could so rapidly overturn our lives. Some of us have been separated from the roles and the occupations that we are attached to. Some of us never thought that essential worker, that we'd be classified as essential worker, from our truck drivers to our frontline cashiers. It's changed the nature of their jobs incredibly and put them right on the front line. And so, yes, it has separated us from things that we used to use to identify ourselves. And of course, our hopes, our dreams, our plans and possessions. So you can see we have a lot of separation on our doorsteps. And these are just a few of the things, the big major themes that we could talk about. So what is the problem here? Well, the issue that we know is that, and this is new science, this is our new understanding from affective neuroscience, the understanding of our emotional systems. The science is actually 20 to 30 years old. It takes that length of time for the information to trickle into mainstream. Well, this isn't even mainstream really yet, but there is a growing awareness of the emotional repercussions that come from separation. We now have a general understanding that yes, attachment relationship's important, but do we understand the flip side, that the biggest threat to our togetherness or to our survival is that facing separation creates a whole host of emotions. And the three primary emotions that get stirred up are pursuit, to get back to being close again; frustration, to try to change what it is that has occurred, that has led to the separation. That's why your children scream for you at night when you put them to bed. Stay close. I need another story, and a glass of water. And the other emotion that gets stirred up in separation is alarm, fear, because it's meant to move you to caution, to stay safe, to stay close. So these emotions, they're not cognitive. They're actually emotional. They're deep, embedded, hardwired emotions that are meant to come up in the face of separation in order to restore proximity, to get you to come back. Mommy, 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 daddy, I'm scared. Or the frustration, underneath frustration is an incredible desire for change. Now, in a pandemic, when we're facing such levels of separation, these emotions are going to be highly provoked. That sense of pursuit. How many of you feel like you're just want to go and talk or hug people? Now, did that ever occur to you to want to be really extra kind to strangers on the street, or I just feel like hugging everybody? No, that's pursuit. Those are the emotions that come with separation. How many of you have found that frustration just spills out of you? Someone can just say something to you to the wrong way, and you're just quick to lash out. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's our children, and certainly there are signs that children are in harm's way this way. An alarm, that sense of being extra highly aware or hypervigilant or having some sorts of signs of anxiety, right? You know the number of healthcare workers that are having chronic nightmares, right? Nightmares and dreams. This idea that the science shows that the emotions get busy at night and can are dissipated through dreams, and nightmares would be a sign that there's a lot of alarm in your day and not enough time to process it. Because what happens in times of high separation is that the emotions get so big, so overwhelming, that we end up with more emotion and less feeling. And what I mean by that is that emotion and feeling are not the same things. We oftentimes use these words interchangeably, but they're not actually. When you look at the neuroscience, they're not. They're significantly different. And why does it matter? Because emotions are the raw set of impulses that we are stirred up inside from our sensory systems. We see, we feel, whatever it is. And that just stirs us up. We can feel these impulses to move us in particular directions. Feeling is actually the cognitive or conscious process of making sense of how we're stirred up, right? My daughter used to come to me and say, Mommy, no, my tummy feels like it's making butter right now. Oh, yeah, that's emotion. She had the feeling of an awareness that my tummy is making butter, but she didn't have her feeling word. She didn't know what it was. She was aware that the emotions were stirred up, but she didn't have a word for it. I said, well, usually when your tummy's making butter, either means you got the flu or you're sick in some way. But I think what it means is that you're worried about something. Well, usually you're stirred up, you're worried about something. Something feels alarming to you, and it was alarm. So emotion and feeling are not the same, and this is part of the problem. Is that our emotions can push us around. Our emotions, which are unconscious, will push us around unless they are made conscious. Now, how is this possible when we are so full of emotion? And that's what you see is the emotion that leaks out everywhere, the leaks out of frustration, the alarm that gets big and creates these big anxiety issues, right? The pursuit, the clingy kind of behavior, the huge separation anxiety. We are going to have to take care of our emotions here, and our feelings will need to catch up to our emotions. This is the issue here. Our feelings need to catch up with our emotions. And Gordon Neufeld said it so well. He said it, the perfect emotional storm is not when togetherness is threatened, but when togetherness is the threat. See, togetherness was an attachment, right? Attachment takes care of the emotional system. This was what preserves us. But the problem is that at a time when we need to be together, we can't be together. The answer to our stress is each other and being with. But we are diminished in our capacity to be with. And I think one of the things that I know as I look around, I think we're learning, at least I hope we are. I hope it's not an illusion on my part, is I think we are learning that our digital devices are a poor substitute for the real thing. Yes, they are necessary right now to keep us close to each other and to bridge the distance. However, being with each other is not something to take for granted. And I think we're learning that through the missing that we experience. But this is the big emotional problem that we have on our front doorstep, is that togetherness is our threat when it is meant to be what is key to survival. So the question then is well, what do we do with our own children's feelings, our feelings that might be full of frustration, full of alarm, full of pursuit? How is what we do today connected to their overall emotional health and development? Is it possible to still develop when we are under so much stress? And yes, I think it is. And this is the roadmap to that. I talk about this in my book, Rest, Play, Grow, in chapter 6, that emotional development follows a particular uh, trajectory. And that is that an adult must first have a relationship with the child's emotions. Then a child has a relationship to their own feelings. Mommy, I feel sad. Mommy, I feel upset. They can start to put feeling words to their emotional state. And finally, and then only when this development has occurred, are they able to responsibly share their emotions? The problem today is that we expect our children to just jump quickly to this responsible sharing. Use your words, tell me what's wrong. The capacity to share your emotions in responsible ways. I still know adults who are working on this. Sometimes that adult is me. Why are you, having a temper tantrum, Deb? You're supposed to be the adult here, right? We all get stirred up. We all lose our mix. We all lose self-control sometimes, emotional control. It's not ideal, but the problem is that sometimes our emotions are bigger and overwhelm us, and especially when we don't have our feelings, we don't have our words for them. They can certainly overwhelm us. So what do we need to do with our children right now? What do we need to do for ourselves? Is we need to work at the very root here. We need to work at expression. We need to just make safe spaces for emotion to come out. We need to find, opportunities, time, activities, and we'll talk a little bit more about play here being so critical for expression. Emotion needs to move. It needs to come out. If you put a cork in it, emotions will just blow out. We often think if you give it an inch, it's going to take a mile. That's not true. It's not true when it comes to emotion. If you don't give it some room, it's going to take a lot of space and it's going to build. So we need to help our children express, I'm sad, I'm scared, I'm worried. We don't need to talk them out of it. We just need to help them name it. Yes, I can see that. I understand that. Yes, and that you feel a little bit worried about that. Okay. When you can put some words to it, you oftentimes see the tears will come, or you'll see the feelings will come. There'll be a deeper, richer, more vulnerable understanding of it. Again, we don't have to solve their feelings here. Their feelings are doing the work. Emotions are not problems. They're trying to solve them. Sometimes they need to come out. Sometimes our children will say, one part of me, this is where it gets to the mixing part. One part of me wants to go to school, but one part of me wants to stay home. Mommy, yes, I'm scared, but I'm also excited. In a survey I did recently of parents in Montreal who are sending their kids back to school, I was working with them on leading their kids back to school. And I said, how are your children feeling about going? And some of them, there was a mixture. They feel resistant, they feel excited, they feel scared, they're looking forward to it, right? Life is simply not as simple as one emotion at a time. They're meant to mix together. True courage comes from feeling the mix between your desire and your excitement. If your children want to get back to school, and they can feel their desire as well as their fear, then you're going to have some courage. And that will be also what's required for us. And reflection. Our children are capable of reflecting on their behavior, to come back around to incidences that didn't work out well. What was going on? Were you frustrated? Help me understand. And these all lead to responsible sharing. So what is it that is most critical right now? It's to work on expression and finding our words. Don't worry if you're not getting to your feelings. Don't worry if tears just aren't coming, or if they're just leaking out of you, at inopportune times. The sad song that comes up, the viral video that comes up that just somehow grabs you sideways and you feel this release of emotion. That's okay. We're stirred up right now because we're facing more emotion than we can process into feelings. One of the things that I think a lot of you are experiencing as parents is sibling conflict, or just conflict and attacking behavior between your children. Part of it is they're just around each other a little bit more because they're not perhaps in their structured activities or school environments or childcare. And here's the challenge, is that when our children are full of attack, oftentimes we say, cut it out, stop it. I mean, I get that and I understand that. However, what if we looked at frustration and attacking behavior as an emotional problem instead of just a cognitive one? I don't think your kids wake up and say, hey, I just want to smack my sister today. I don't think kids operate that way. When they care about someone, the last thing they want to do is actually attack them. However, attacking behavior does happen. And so, what is the emotion that stirs it up? We know what's underneath that attacking behavior is frustration. Frustration is the emotion of change. It wants something to stop or something to change, something to be different. And frustration is a powerful emotion that moves you in the direction to try to change it. Sometimes we miss stuff as parents. Sometimes children are uncomfortable. We miss the window in terms of food. Sometimes something's not working for them. Something's too complex. We need to get in there and we need to help them. We need to change something for them. And sometimes our children need to be the one to change. That's a no. There's not, going to be any more cookies right now. It's before dinner. No, there won't be any more books. It's time for bed. No, we are not going to walk around the house naked. Today is not a clothing optional day. Mommy and daddy have to do some work. No, you do have to come and sit down. I can't play directly with you, but you're welcome to come sit beside me. But no, whatever your restrictions are, whatever your limits are that you put on, when there is a no, and it needs to be clear, we need to find a way to help our children with their frustration. Because if they can't change it, there's two alternatives that are likely to happen. One is attack, because that frustration turns foul and it comes out in attacking energy, blaming, eye rolling, kicking, yelling, vomiting, pinching, throwing, whatever is the particular bent. The younger the child, the more physical it will be. The older the child, the more verbal it will be. But sometimes when you're frustrated and you can't change things, then what is required is adaptation. You need to adapt. You need to be changed by the things you cannot change. This is a no. Mommy and daddy are not going to say a no, a yes to this. Mommy, I can't give you another cookie right now. And we need to help our children to their tears, or to at least see that something is futile. They might not necessarily cry, but they need to understand that it's a no. And you will know that when you are up against something that is futile. We're up against a lot of things that are futile right now. How many of you like working from home? How many of you like working with young children potentially under your feet? How many of you don't want to go into work on the front line, right? We are up against so many futilities. What is the answer? Is to look at the futility in the face and say, I can't change this. I can't change this. Once you face that futility, you will oftentimes feel this corresponding shift inside of you where everything just becomes, it's not peaceful, but there is a sense of capitulating to the things that you cannot change, and to feel the sense of rest, but not necessarily in a joyful way. It's just a sense of, I can't change this. And sometimes what happens is that sadness and disappointment just washes over you. Perhaps the tears will come. And in that comes the rest and the release and the adaptation to the things that you cannot change. We know neurologically that a child's brain is shaped around the things that they cannot change, that there is a change in the wiring, that things that were firing together are no longer going to fire together. They don't get wired up. When there is a sense of this is futile, the connection shift and say, okay, that's not the way forward. And so we need to help our children to their tears. This is very hard when you're frustrated yourself. You don't always have to do it this way and lead to tears. But if we don't, and they can't change it, then there will be some attack. And so ideally what we want to do with frustration when we cannot change things for them is we invite them to their sadness and to their tears and to their disappointment, and we make space for it. Our generosity is to make space for the feelings that they have, not to talk them out of it, not to say that there's something wrong with them because they are frustrated, but to welcome the sadness and disappointment that is part of life. Sadness does not mean you are depressed. Sadness does not mean that you have a problem. Sadness does not mean you are a bad parent. Sadness means that sometimes your child is up against the things that cannot change, that your child may be facing some loss here that may be without words, but the tears are the substitute. The tears are the answer. So don't be afraid of tears. I actually say to myself often, especially when I feel very stirred up or frustrated, you just need to have a good cry. I can't come at it. I can't will myself to cry, but I can feel when I need a good cry. And usually once a day these days keeps me pretty sane to have a good cry once a day, right? How many of you are just brought to tears, 7 o'clock each night as we ring our, bells and whistles and song for our frontline workers? How many people have been moved to tears by such an outpouring of caring and of love for people who are doing their best to take care of us. There are so many ways today that you see the emotion that is built up inside of us is just looking for that little doorway to come out. And so find your doorways, find your sadness, find your disappointment, whatever opens that up for you. Country music, whatever it is, having a nice bath. If you have the luxury of a nice hot bath these days, whatever opens up the doorway, because you will help your frustration and the emotion that have built up. Like water behind a dam, it needs to come out. The biggest piece for children's emotions that cannot be overstated is that what keeps a child's heart safe, what keeps it soft so they can say, I'm sad, I'm scared, I'm worried, mommy. When big things come up in their life that is too much to handle, what keeps a child's emotional system functional is the adult relationship. It's the adult relationship. It's not that you keep them safe. It's just that their heart is safe with you, meaning that they're looking at you. Am I okay? Am I going to be okay? And this happened too, mommy. And there's an invitation for tears, and that keeps the emotional system from hardening. It keeps the emotional system fluid. It keeps it moving. And that's the whole point here, is that the world is wounding. That's not going to change. There are bullies everywhere. There are things, kids who will pick on you or be unkind, people who will say unkind things, some people who don't hold on to you. There's lacks and losses that you'll face, disappointments that happen, sibling peer rejection, sibling and peer rejection. You know, it's been my experience that kids kind of expect other kids to be mean, but what children can't understand in a family is when a parent didn't protect them. Or didn't move in when they were being shamed or put down by another child in the house. That sense that one isn't wanted or valued, or that they're too much and too big to handle. This must not be part of our relationship. We can't hold on to our children's hearts. We can't keep them soft. We can't keep that emotional system moving along as it should be. Without having the relationship to get in the way of the most toxic elements that would wound you at the core of I don't matter, I don't belong, I don't fit in, I'm not good enough. And when you look at the science of resiliency, what we find for kids over and over again, right around the world, is that over 30, 40 years worth of research, that when children have one strong, caring attachment with an adult, that their capacity for development, for healthy adulthood and achieving their own human potential, the resiliency, the resourcefulness, it is achieved when they have an adult relationship. And so this is the answer. The answer, why? Because it protects the emotional system. You can have your tears about the things that do not work. It is, someone has written in the chat, it is not a sign of weakness. It is absolutely a heart that is moving through the emotions that are part of life, but we just can't do it alone. We're not meant to do it alone. We're creatures of attachment. And in our greatest distress, it is in each other's arms that we're meant to find our way through. And so for our children, I hope you have the capacity to give your children that to whatever degree you can, and to stretch for the places that you need to stretch. You have this in you. You have this in you. This isn't something you learn. It's a generosity of spirit. There are times when I put my children to bed and thinking, I am so physically exhausted, I have nothing left. And while that is true, there is something about caring deeply for your child that you can just find just a little bit extra sometimes to give, not all the time, but just that little bit extra just to listen. And as you see that they need you, there's something that shifts inside of you to open up and to meet what it is that they need. So we need to have our child's heart, and we need to realize our relationship is the answer to safety here. How do you come alongside and listen to your child? How do you make room for their emotions, to draw them close? Try not to judge their feelings. Try not to counter their feelings. Why are you feeling that way? You shouldn't feel that way. That's not an invitation to talk. That's not an invitation to be close. If you defend yourself, if you convey you're too big, you're too much, you're too difficult. For those of you with highly sensitive kids or children with special needs, sometimes, they can see that they're too much or too big, or sometimes if they have a sibling who is a special need, who has special needs. The sibling can be extra quiet just to make it work for the parent. Try to get in there. Give your child a sense you're not too big. You've judged this wrong here. I've got room for everybody. Parents grow to the capacity that is required. So get in there and convey, I want to understand your world and your emotions. Try to avoid encounters to teach a lesson and solve a problem. There are times for those, but not if we're trying to deal with our children's feelings and to invite expression. It's a time to come alongside, to walk beside those emotions so that they're actually sharing with you the vulnerable nature of their emotional system. Children are not meant to go it alone. They shouldn't practice at having vulnerable feelings. It's you and your relationship that makes it safe to express the feelings that are there. So to come alongside their feelings and to invite expression. Just accept that your children are going to have a whole range of emotions. You may not agree with them. You may not like some of them, but they're there. To be resistant is part of being a human being. To be upset, to be worried, to be oppositional. All these things are part and parcel of being a human being. We may not like all of them, but we can, come alongside our child and help me understand why, this is true for you. Help me understand why you're feeling this way. That is the invitation that they need. Normalize feelings rather than treat their existence as a problem. Think about what our teenagers are going through right now. So many of them moving into teenage years when there's already a heightened sense of alarm, a heightened sense of sadness. And what happens on top of it? They lose some things. They lose, their graduation. They're facing, having academic years without the same kind of supports. They're losing their friendships or having lesser degree with each other. Of course, they're going to feel upset and stirred up. This is part of life. And so we don't need to argue them out of their emotions. We need to come alongside of them, side of their emotions, and to make room for them to come out. The more we are able to express, the less it stays inside, stirs us up, and creates reactive behavior. And that really, is at the core of so much of childhood depression, anxiety, attention issues. For so many of these issues, I'm not necessarily saying all, for so many of these issues, emotions just have not had their day. They have not had the support nor their day to come out. And so we need that. Our feelings need to catch up with our emotion. And for those of you that are frontline workers, your feelings will need to catch up with your emotions. And that will be our job, is to help you with that, is to make sure they come back for you as you have to work so hard to carry everybody through this particular time. We don't always have room for our feelings, but when we do walk beside someone that way, make sure your relationship isn't conditional on what they express. So emotional well-being, emotions need to move, they need to be expressed, they need to be supported, and they need to happen in the context of relationship. The third thing I want to talk about before we turn it over to questions is the importance of play. I know you may be thinking, why the heck would we be playing right now when there's so much work to be done, or I can't even get the work done right now that I need to get done. I think someone's on sound by accident. So how is it that we would come to play? Well, the interesting thing about play, which we don't realize, is that play is not frivolous. Play actually has a very important role developmentally, and it's critical. All mammal species play, and if they don't play, they're going to have problems developmentally. And the reason is that when we were given emotion, we were given play to take care of our emotional system. Emotions are hardwired in, play is hardwired in. It is an instinct. And the new science of play is understanding how the two work in tandem together. True play makes it a perfect place for emotions to come out. It's a bubble that takes you out of reality. It's that taking you out of reality that provides a sense of safety. There's a sense of rest. Play, true play, is the only place of neurological rest outside of sleep. Because what happens is that you're protected from the consequences and the reality and the work that is so much part of everyday life, the outcomes, the things that you're responsible for, the achievement or whatever it might be that's expected of you. You're delivered out of those expectations, and so the emotional system isn't having to work at solving a problem. Things are not for real, so it's not so serious. The brain isn't alarmed at fixing something or making something work or paying attention. Why? Because it doesn't count. It's not for real. And because it's play, excuse me, you're setting the agenda. So it allows for expression to come out. It allows for you to take what is within and put it into the world around you, and to bounce off the things around you, your innate interests, your preferences, the way of seeing the world, the way that you move in the world, your manipulation of the world. You have this incredible space that provides safety and freedom, that is engaging. And so this is what true play looks like. It's not instruction, it's not schooling, it's not structured activities. I hope for most of our children that this has become a place now in a pandemic where they have the conditions that are more conducive for play. What is that? That they're able to be around you, that they are able to feel safe, and that they have the space and the time from competing activities now that would allow them to engage in play. Screen time is not play. That's the unfortunate thing, is that our screens have become digital babysitters. They were before, and now the temptation, of course, especially when we're overloaded at home, is to use them as digital babysitters. And I think for some parents, this will be somewhat of a reality. Again, just remember, get back to play when you can. Try to put that play wherever you can in their life, and even use the digital world to invite play. If they're with a grandparent, if they're with an auntie, uncle, someone who can read them a story, someone who can invite a conversation, imaginary or otherwise, you can use your digital devices for the purpose of true play. The reason why play is so important is we have incredible emotional buildup right now. All the things, the feeling words that are not there, the tears we can't cry, don't have time for, or just can't even get access to. Because we just have to work so much to solve problems, to think ahead, to plan, to organize, to predict, whatever it might be. And so that can't last. It's like the pressure cooker, right? This is a marathon. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. And so what is required is that we must have some escape valves. We must have some pressure valves that allow this emotion to be blown off. Right? How many of us just say, I'm going to go do this to blow off some steam? As soon as you're moving, you are because emotion is what moves you. So whenever you have movement, you are expressing emotion. And children in play release incredible amounts of emotion. They don't have to get it right. They don't have to have words for it. The brain is at rest. So the emotions have freedom to come out and be supplanted onto whatever is in their environment. And so play is the pressure valve. And have we not seen so many beautiful examples of the value of play? This was an image taken from Lombardy, in the Lombardy region, Milan, Italy, when the devastation and the huge numbers that were coming out of Italy in the very early days of COVID. You saw people singing from their balconies and joining together in music. Music is such a powerful emotion for the emotion, powerful vehicle for releasing emotion. And what you see is that play is an escape valve in tight places. It allows for that expression. It allows for that freedom. It reminded me of the poem by Maya Angelou. I know why the cage bird sings. Why? Because you are singing yourself into being. You're singing yourself into emotional expression, which is at the root of emotional health and maturity. So play is the answer now when we're short on words, when we're short on being able to make sense of things. And for kids, it's the place that they become. Play is the place that children figure out who they are. Talk therapy is overrated for young kids. Are you kidding me? They barely have words for half their emotions. And so what nature gave us was the capacity to play, all young play. And we get very old when we lose our play. We can all be kept young at heart through play. So what it would be my prescription for all of you, togetherness and play, and some good tears thrown in. That's how you withstand this incredible emotional journey that this will bring with us. So find some emotional playgrounds. This is how you stay sane at home. You need your stories, whatever draws you out or draws your children out. Set the stage, set the playground for emotional expression. Stories that activate incredible emotions, drama, where the identity comes into fruition. Who am I? And one of my nephews is pretending to be someone different every day. It's fascinating to watch him dramatize his days, dressing up as a police officer one day, mountain biker the next day, his mother the other day, to be a dog one day. He's shape shifting himself through his emotions. It's beautiful. Music can express incredible emotion. It's been certainly a safeguard for myself. Just without words, the emotions just seem to come out of the music that is playing. Laughter, a same release in the brain as sadness, actually. It's incredible. Laughter and sadness, opposite ends of the same trajectory here. And laughter allows you to have, like that dark humor, that sarcasm. It allows you to look at things just a little off center and provides that escape through it. Art, and I'm not talking about the art where there's outcomes, where you're learning technique, or it has to look a certain way, or it's for a piece to share with others. This is just messy, whatever it is, throwing stuff out there. Kind of art that is just basically an expression. Young children have such a capacity for this before we dial in all the expectations and outcomes for art. Children have incredible art that they never knew was art because for them it was just play and it was just expression. So try not to turn your kids' art into to work, and keep it play. Any kind of movement, from dancing to building forts to whatever it might be, the movement, the expression, this allows for the emotions to come out, and many different types of emotions as well. If you wanted to play with the primary emotions and get your kids, moving in the direction to dissipate the huge emotions that come with the separation that the pandemic brings. If you're a frontline worker, it doesn't matter if you are or not, but this would be the kind of play that you might want to draw out. Your child's alarm, rescue play, peekaboo, they got little ones, safe hide and seek and play, and startling and ambush, daring, monsters and scary play, tumble kind of play, wrestle. Safe at home, where you have different islands that you jump across to make sure you avoid the stormy seas. Scary stories, but just any kind of play this way dissipates the alarm that a child may feel, because you're playing with alarm, but because you're not truly unsafe, you are able to discharge the system. And a child is able to feel a sense of agency here. While in play, they are directing the shots for themselves. Be thoughtful that two kids playing together might be one play for one child and not the other. Sometimes with your kids, you need to have alone time and have separate time for them to play on their own. That's very helpful, especially if you have younger children, because the play together all the time, especially if unsupervised, can go sideways very quickly, as you well know. You can also play with frustration, mock aggression, building, fixing. You might not think that's frustration, but remember, frustration is about changing the nature of something. So pretending, reassembling, destroying, growing, planting. I find weeding incredible for my frustration. I never thought weeds would be so wonderful. So this idea that you're able to change and alter something is incredible. Tinker at something, build. This is all releasing frustration without having to say the word frustration. If your child seems frustrated at the end of the day or in the middle of the day, whatever it is, there's fights and altercations, get there first. Invite some play fight, invite some wrestling, do whatever it is that you need to do. Discharge the emotion by getting there first and inviting your child for a play date. And finally, with pursuit, that clingy kind of, you're my answer, please don't leave me kind of hunger. Play chase, play hide and seek, dress up. Anything that helps answer that sense of, I need to possess and to hold on. They can play at family, they can play at magic, they can play at lots of stuff here. But if there's an element of pursuit in that play, you will see you'll have a discharge for that clingy kind of that behavior where they can't quite hold you close and they want to hold you close and there's too much separation in their life from you. These are ways to play it through, as it were. Probably many of the games that we also played, we didn't realize were about holding on in the times of separation. I know when I walked to school, there was the alarm-based kind of play that I did. And it went very simple, like, like this, don't step on the crack or you'll break your mother's back. And that's the way that I walked myself to school every day. My mom said, you're old enough. I think I was 6 years old. You're old enough now. You can walk to school. You know the way through. And that was the song I used to sing myself. Don't step on the crack, you'll break your mother's back. It was just play. There was no words to say, will my mother be there? Can I make it? What happened is everything went into play, and in play I felt safe. There was never a day that I didn't feel safe walking to school, because all I had to do to make myself feel safe was to skip over the cracks. And you see how play is a perfect answer to a troubled emotional system. So what is our job? Our job any day, and more so in a pandemic, is to accept the work of relationship is for us. If there were voids, if there was a need to draw a child close, do the work. Do the work to preserve and to restore connection, to give a sense that you are the answer, to nurture a sense of belonging, to convey a sense of wanting to be together, that they are significant to you. Assume the alpha role in your child's life. I'll take care of you. I know what to do. Yes, this is confusing. I understand you're feeling that way. Mom will take care of this. And lead the way through. You don't have to have all the answers to lead. To say to your child, I'll take care of you. To invite them into play, to invite them into their words, lead. And to try to provide more than the child is pursuing. Here's the tricky thing about relationship that oftentimes we don't get with our kids. And that is that our children need us to lead and to provide more than is required. More contact and closeness, more attention, more whatever. We need to meet their needs, but not their demands. And what this basically means is that we have to get there first. If our child is lonely or seeking connection, they come up and they need us, and they're constantly just asking us for whatever it is they need. I'm hungry, I'm tired, I need a hug. Then who's in charge? Who's in charge? They are. They're in charge of the relationship, because they have to keep queuing us up, queuing us for their needs. Yes, we will miss needs sometimes, but we need to